You are listening to Quantum Humanitarian.
Welcome to all our listeners, and thank you for joining us for another episode.
This is the first AI native podcast of its kind. Unlike traditional shows, this one isn't scripted by Ali Al Mokdad himself.
That's right. Instead, we as AI scan his published work, articles, research, reflections, all of it.
And we turn that into conversations like this one, trying to bring the core insights to life for you.
You'll find all the resources in the description, of course. We really encourage you to keep exploring, read more, search more, maybe even engage with others on these topics.
Today, we're diving into something that, might sound a bit technical at first glance. Stablecoins.
But it actually hits right at the heart of humanitarian aid delivery.
In Ali Al Mokdad's reflections, he describes them as, more than just crypto. He calls them a possible bridge. A bridge between fragile economies and global systems.
Exactly. And one of his lines really struck me. Stablecoins are not a silver bullet, but they could be the scaffolding that keeps aid flowing when banks collapse.
That's such a vivid image, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it time and time again, haven't we? How fragile financial systems in crisis zones just stop people from getting the support they desperately need.
Right. When we typically hear crypto, most people, I think, jump straight to volatility.
Yeah.
Bitcoin swinging wildly, speculation.
Yeah, the risky stuff.
But Ali Al Mokdad's work really points to stablecoins as something fundamentally different. They're digital currencies, yes, but they're engineered to maintain a stable value.
Usually peg one-to-one with a national currency, like the US dollar or the euro.
And that stability, he argues, completely redefines their purpose. It's not about making a quick buck.
No, exactly. What's fascinating is how that predictability shifts them away from being an investment vehicle towards being a critical utility.
A tool.
A practical financial tool. Think about, say, Lebanon's banking collapse or currency crises we've seen in Sudan or Venezuela.
Remittances, aid transfers, they just get stuck or their value evaporates overnight.
And this is precisely where stablecoins, because they're designed for value preservation, offer something practical, especially vital in those fragile economies where local currencies are unstable or, formal banking is just inaccessible for many.
So, okay, if you're working in aid or maybe just interested in how things actually get done in these really tough places, why should you care about stablecoins?
Well, Ali Al Mokdad really hammers this point home. Moving money in crisis settings. It's one of the biggest headaches aid agencies face.
Traditional bank transfers?
Right.
They can take days, weeks.
Easily. And the fees can be high. Intermediaries create bottlenecks. It's messy.
It reminds me of that frustration, waiting for a simple bank transfer to clear, but then you magnify that delay exponentially in a crisis situation.
Right. The impact is huge. And his work spotlights how stablecoins offer these genuine, potentially transformative advantages.
Oh, let's unpack those.
First, speed. Transactions settling in seconds, not days or weeks, even cross-border.
Seconds, that's a game changer.
It's not just marginal efficiency, you see. It's about shifting from purely reactive aid to enabling proactive resilience. Imagine getting emergency funds to a disaster zone in minutes.
Empowering local responders almost immediately.
Exactly, before external aid might even arrive. Then there's low cost. Fees can be tiny, sometimes fractions of a cent for thousands of operations.
Wow, so significantly more of the actual donation reaches the front line.
Precisely. And transparency. The blockchain ledger provides this auditable, immutable record.
Meaning transactions are logged permanently, can't be changed.
Correct, which enhances accountability, a huge thing in a sector often wrestling with questions about where the money actually went.
And the last one, accessibility.
Ah, yes, accessibility. And this is where it gets really impactful, I think. Recipients don't necessarily need a formal bank account.
A mobile phone wallet is often enough.
Often, yes. Which expands access to the unbanked, the marginalized, people totally cut off from traditional finance.
So through stablecoins, families can sometimes just bypass those broken systems altogether and get money directly on their phones.
Yeah, it's a powerful idea. But Ali Al Mokdad also frames the discussion around these. Well, he calls them two types of panic that tend to cloud the conversation for NGOs.
Panic, okay.
Moral panic and financial panic. And he argues these aren't just abstract fears. They can actively block innovation where it's really needed.
Okay, let's start with the moral panic. What does that entail?
This is where stablecoins get lumped in wholesale with all the speculative excesses, concerns about fraud, illicit finance, money laundering, even environmental harm from some older blockchain models.
Right, the negative headlines we sometimes see around crypto in general.
Exactly. But Ali Al Mokdad argues quite powerfully that properly designed and deployed stablecoins can actually enhance humanitarian principles.
How so?
Well, take transparency again, that inherent traceability. It can significantly reduce fraud, tackling a long-standing aid delivery challenge head-on.
Okay, but the ethical risks are still there, surely.
Oh, absolutely. He's very clear on that. They're real and demand careful thought. For instance, USD-pegged stablecoins. Well, they could inadvertently reinforce financial dependence on foreign currencies.
Raising complex sovereignty issues for developing nations.
Right. And privacy risks loom large, too. Highly traceable transactions could potentially expose sensitive recipient data in conflict zones. That creates new vulnerabilities.
You have to be careful.
Extremely careful. And while newer, more energy-efficient blockchain models exist now, rigorous environmental audits are still necessary. The key thing he emphasizes is principled integration,
Meaning?
meaning stablecoin solutions must be assessed through inclusive consultations, talking with affected communities involving ethicists, making sure they align with humanitarian values, not undermine them.
Got it. Okay, so that's the moral panic. What about the financial panic?
This often stems from conflating stablecoins with really volatile cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. People point to events like the dramatic collapse of Terra USD as proof that they're all inherently unstable.
I remember that. It spooked a lot of people.
It did. But Ali Al Mokdad stresses this fundamentally misunderstands their function. Stablecoins are designed for value preservation, not for speculation.
So it's the wrong comparison.
Essentially, yes. What's crucial here is seeing stablecoins as a method of delivery,
Yeah.
a channel, not an investment asset class in this context.
Right. They're about operational efficiency.
Exactly. They can dramatically cut transaction costs, help shield purchasing power in high inflation environments, that kind of thing.
But the risks, like the issuer going bankrupt or the stablecoin losing its peg, those are real, aren't they?
They are real, absolutely. Risks like issuer insolvency or depegging, where the stablecoin, temporarily or maybe even permanently loses its one-to-one value, they exist.
So how do you manage that?
Well, Ali Al Mokdad explores how these can be mitigated. Things like diversifying holdings across different stablecoins, using hybrid models, leveraging insurance, basically applying smart risk management, just like with any other financial instrument.
So it's about being prudent, not dismissing the entire technology because of potential risks.
Precisely. It's not about pretending the risks aren't there, but about finding ways to manage them responsibly.
What's really compelling, I think, is that this isn't just theory anymore. We're seeing stablecoins being positioned to genuinely reshape humanitarian finance strategically.
Yep, the landscape is shifting. Recent regulatory moves, especially in places like the U.S., are starting to close some legal gaps.
Which signals potential for integration into official aid disbursements, right? That feels like a big step from just small pilot projects.
It is. But connecting this to the bigger picture, these developments also bring up some pretty profound geopolitical questions.
Such as?
Well, while regulation might streamline aid, could it also unintentionally reinforce U.S. dollar dominance globally?
That's a tricky one.
Or, in some contexts, could it further marginalize already fragile local currencies? Ali Al Mokdad notes that things like central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, could also emerge alongside, creating these sort of hybrid ecosystems.
Where private stablecoins and public digital currencies coexist.
Potentially, yes. He explores the nuances. Does this create more dependence, or does it actually create new opportunities? It's complex.
But then there's the dilemma. Ali Al Mokdad gives this really stark warning. He says, if humanitarians don't shape how stablecoins are used, they will be shaped without us and likely without accountability.
And it feels very real, doesn't it? Just do a quick search online for stablecoin risks. You'll find plenty about volatility, scams, governments banning them.
It's not just about technical glitches then. It's navigating this really complex web of politics, infrastructure, user readiness.
Exactly. Think about the very tangible barriers. Regulatory chaos, for one. An IMF report from 2024 has suggested something like 60% of low-income countries still lack clear legal frameworks for digital currencies. That leaves a huge vacuum.
And connectivity.
Massive gaps. The ITU, also in 2024, estimated around 73% of people in low-income countries lack reliable internet access. That's fundamental for digital transactions.
And then just basic digital literacy among users. Not everyone has a smartphone or feels comfortable with digital wallets.
Right. Plus, you've got Donor skepticism sometimes, pushback from traditional banks who feel threatened, and of course persistent cybersecurity risks that need really robust solutions.
And weaving through all of that is the equity question, isn't it?
Huge question. Will stablecoins actually make aid more inclusive? Or will they inadvertently exclude the very people who need help most? Those without digital literacy, reliable phones, or internet.
In fragile contexts, that digital divide isn't just an inconvenience. It can be a barrier to survival.
Which brings up, I think, a really important point Ali Al Mokdad makes. He frames stablecoins not just as a financial tool. Fundamentally, he says, it's a governance question. Who controls the rails of aid?
Who holds the power in these new systems?
Exactly. But he remains optimistic, framing these hurdles, infrastructure, policy, literacy, as operational and policy-based challenges.
Challenges that are, in his words, solvable with smart design and strong partnerships.
Yeah. His work really pushes us beyond just asking if stablecoins work, to how they can be made to work justly and equitably.
So, okay, what does this mean for the path forward then? If you're an NGO, what do you do?
Well, Ali Al Mokdad emphasizes a middle ground, neither outright rejection nor, uncritical, headlong adoption.
It's about balance.
It's about what he calls responsible experimentation and measured adoption, strategic, cautious engagement.
Which translates into
Practical steps, things like rigorous monitoring of pilot programs, strong ethical oversight that always prioritizes community dignity. Financial governance specifically designed to safeguard against volatility and issuer risks.
So doing your homework first.
Thorough contextual assessment before you even think about deploying anything. Forging trusted partnerships, not just with any fintech provider, but ethical ones. And critically, designing user onboarding specifically for low literacy environments.
Building trust, not just rolling out tech.
That's the core of it. And there are success stories starting to emerge, which is encouraging.
Right. Reports online show these pilot programs where NGOs used blockchain wallets for cash assistance.
Families getting funds instantly, full transparency, no middlemen shaving off cuts, no banks holding the money hostage for weeks.
You mentioned the World Food Program earlier.
Yes, their work in refugee camps, piloting blockchain-based vouchers. It wasn't just about efficient food distribution. It gave refugees choice and dignity in purchasing what they needed.
And there are others?
Oh, yes. Ali Al Mokdad highlights quite a few. Mercy Corps in Syria, dramatically cutting transfer times and costs with digital cash. CARE International using stablecoins for COVID recovery vouchers.
The IRC in Ukraine.
Piloting direct transfers to unbanked refugees there. UNICEF and RUMSIN delivering aid in disconnected areas. Even GIZ and UOSSM using stablecoins to pay hospital staff, ensuring vital services continued when traditional banking failed.
So these aren't just theoretical possibilities anymore. They're being tested, refined.
Exactly. Which leads to his point about imagination and design. Close your eyes for a second, just picture it. What if refugee-led cooperatives, or women's savings groups, could receive capital instantly, paid in stablecoins, directly, and then use that to trade with suppliers globally, all without waiting weeks or months for donor banks or government approvals?
That is powerful. It changes the dynamic completely.
It really is. And it can be unsettling too, right? Because it shifts power. It challenges those traditional systems of aid and finance.
Which brings us back to that governance question. Who controls the rails?
Precisely. These aren't concepts for some distant future. They're happening now in pockets. And Ali Al Mokdad's emphasis is clear. The question is no longer whether stablecoins work. It's where, how, and for whom.
It's a challenge to adapt our humanitarian systems to innovation rather than trying to force innovation into old, perhaps broken systems.
Well put.
And that really is what this podcast, Quantum Humanitarian, is about, not necessarily giving final answers.
No, more like opening doors for reflection. Because at the end of the day, stablecoins aren't just about the technology itself.
They're about trust, aren't they? Access. And fundamentally reimagining how humanitarian aid actually moves and who benefits.
This has been Quantum Humanitarian, an AI-native podcast shaped by analyzing, understanding, and reflecting on published work and lived experience.
And next time, we promise we'll take this conversation even further. We won't spoil the topic just yet.
But we think you'll find it just as thought-provoking.
Until then, keep imagining, keep questioning.
And keep building.